blockchain is something that you need to constantly check and be on the internet and really looking for it. What I did, for example, that's my path as a techie. The first thing that I did was, okay, I need to build one on my own just to check and see and understand.
Well, hello. Welcome to the Pioneers Show, the show where we talk with innovators, makers, entrepreneurs, basically people who are creating their own trails and creating their own lives, so that we all can learn how to work on our own lives. This is episode 6, and I'm your host, Andre de Albuquerque. You can find me at It's the Andre on Twitter and on Instagram, as well as the show at Pioneers Show on Instagram as well. You can check the website as well, that's now live at www.pioneersshow.com. Before I go and explain who the guest is, I would really like to thank Nathan Williams for the introduction. With us today, we have Felipe Stark. Felipe is a Brazilian now living in Berlin, and after being enticed by blockchain technologies, Felipe started building his own technology and is now the CTO of a rather interesting recruiting blockchain company, Gust Network. In this conversation, he gave me some hardcore lessons on what the technology does and how any other company will be able to enjoy the structure that his team is building. It's very interesting, and I should point out that Felipe is a very easygoing person, and I truly enjoyed talking with him. So, without any further ado, let's jump into this conversation with my friend, Felipe. Everybody, it's DeAndre here. Welcome to the Pioneers Show. With us, we have today Felipe Stark. So, Felipe, for people who don't know who you are, care to make a pitch for yourself?
Yeah, sure.
And by the way, thank you so much for taking the invitation, and welcome. It's a great honor to have you here.
Thank you, Andre. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Gust Network, and what we're doing is we're doing a blockchain infrastructure for HR. And what this means is that users, companies, and HR partners, they all live in an ecosystem in blockchain, and users get the value for their data. And also automating the whole job seekers, talent acquisition from all sides. So at the end, users get better jobs, better offers, and also tokens for their offers, and companies get better talent. And also the automation part is it's crucial. HR partners can build the apps on top of our blockchain infrastructure.
So you're building a protocol.
We're building a protocol, exactly. It's a platform. So at the end, it's quite of amazing, because when we started, we thought that okay, it's all about matching and giving back data to HR partners, because right now every HR partner, just so that you can understand, like for example AI, matching, machine learning, they struggle with two things. They struggle with getting their product, but also acquiring users, and users do not update their data, and that's a huge problem for them. So they're not able to do a perfect matching because of that. And everything is fragmented, so you do not unify that. And what we're doing is we create a unification, but also decentralizing this whole infrastructure, so that partners, they can focus on what they do best, and that is achieving great products and not just acquiring users. Users will be in our platform and anyone can access. We even call it data neutrality in a way. That means that anyone can join the party. Any HR partner can get access to the infrastructure.
Sorry to interrupt. When you say HR partner, are we assuming HR agencies or companies that are looking to recruit, or both?
Both. We're talking about headhunters. So we're talking about companies that use machine learning and AR for matching. We are talking about companies which have the goal even to demonstrate a career path to user, because many users, they do not know what to do with their lives. And in a way, headhunters and those companies, they help people figure it out. And there is also another very interesting thing. We all live in a bubble, even, the blockchain, the tech, the startups, and developers, marketing. We live in a bubble to think that these are the only jobs available out there. But majority of jobs is actually blue-collar jobs. That means nurses, truck drivers, and everything were actually operational in a way. And a lot of companies, they struggle in getting them. You do not have headhunters for nurse. You do not have headhunters for truck drivers.
For cleaning people,
For
you don't
cleaning
have.
people, anything. And what we do is we open possibilities also for those job seekers.
But the idea is to create like different apps. Since you're creating the dApps or DApps, is the idea to create different DApps for different targets? So blue collar, white collar, programmers, artists, everything in one big umbrella? Or are we talking about like it's Gust? I'm going to Gust to look for talent, or I'm going to black card powered by Gust Network?
Since it is an infrastructure and a protocol, what we do is we provide all the tools necessary for partners to create that.
Okay.
So in a way, nurse-specific DApp partner will partner with us or just use the protocol in order to achieve the nurses and get in contact with them. So it's a truly open platform for everybody.
I see.
For
So
all kinds of job seekers.
So you're looking more on you're creating a platform so that developers can create different apps or dApps, or DApps in this case,
Yep.
so that they can create different ecosystems inside the platform and infrastructure that you're creating on Gust Network to be able to recruit different kinds of people and talent onto different job roles.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Let's take a huge step back and go
Yeah, sure.
for you. Where are you from?
I'm from Brazil, and I came to Germany 8 years ago. And since then, I've been working with a lot of startups. I was responsible for founding a Brazilian branch company here. We had a very successful exit to GE.
Whoa.
I also worked for GE for a while for this period while
After the
transitioning
acquisition.
it. Yes, exactly, transition it. And afterwards, then I got it more involved with other technological startups. My latest venture was at NBT called Meta. I was the CTO there. And NBT is a company builder focused on blockchain and IoT. That's my background for blockchain as well.
IoT being Internet of Things.
Internet of Things.
So
exactly.
for people that are in the audience that don't know that what even after the IoT onto Internet of Things means is that we're talking about connected devices. For example, the Fitbits, the Pebbles, and all those things are connected somehow to a major central database or decentralized database with IoT, I think.
Yeah.
That you can later get data and information.
Yeah, those are two different concepts, and yes, IoT and blockchain together, it's a huge advantage, and it's going to bring unlimited technological advance to all kinds of industries in a way. But IoT itself, it's all about connecting any kind of device
From
to the
fridges
internet.
to watches.
Yeah, exactly.
One question.
That's the idea.
You're not the first, so just to give you some insight, funny thing, and this is just off the record, but it'll be in. You're the sixth person.
Off the record,
but it will be in
the record.
You're the sixth person that I'm interviewing. Funny thing, you're the sixth different nationality.
Okay.
And all the six interviews I've been personally in Berlin, and I haven't had one German person. I just noticed that. Weird thing. Okay, so out of the 6 interviews, 4 with you, 5 have been blockchain related. But there's one thing that I still haven't understood or got a clear message, at least for me, is why is blockchain very important? Even though I work with blockchain, I want someone who's an expert or is much more well-versed in this area to understand and to speak and teach people why is it that important? Why is it revolutionary?
Because blockchain, it's a true internet. It's the new internet. It's actually how internet should be, and that is a decentralized way of communicating. It's a peer-to-peer communication. And what blockchain does is much more than transactions and immutability. It's actually creating a decentralized computing system through the road. So instead of having silos and servers and big companies holding back all the information and also algorithms and also server processing, what we do is with blockchain, it decentralizes everything. So users and people are back in control, of their functionalities, their data, and all the features. So that's why it's so revolutionary. And together with IoT, then we also start talking about not only people but device itself. So the whole ecosystem changes. We have everything connected to everything in a way simpler way, and just generating value. That's why it's the hugest. It's a big change for all industries. It's not only about financial. It's not about the traceability as well. It's everything. We're doing HR, and it's changing everything as well. E-commerce, websites, everything is going to change with blockchain.
Do you believe in the brighter future that a lot of the blockchain minds nowadays are selling, that blockchain will be as revolutionary as the internet and will be the Web 3.0 revolution as Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, all the social medias? Do you believe that?
I think that on a technological perspective, I think that it's even bigger than Facebook. It is going to be the new internet. Everybody's saying that's totally a cliche to say that we are in blockchain is the internet in 1993, and that's totally true. So the next years we're going to see so many business models, so many different things being built on blockchain and what it can do.
But I mean, and the main question when someone tells me this, and the main question that I have always directed to me when I try to make this exact point is, yeah, but the thing is that Facebook, for example, Twitter, YouTube, Google have huge financial interest in not making it work, I assume, because if it's decentralizing the data, if it's decentralizing the power, you no longer have one big behemoth saying, nope, I do as I want to do, not as I'm told. So what's the financial interest, or why would Facebook, Google, or any other behemoth want this to happen? And if they don't, how can they counter-strike this revolution? Can they counter-strike it?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, and honestly, I cannot say for sure what's going to happen in the next years. What I can say is definitely they know that they're being attacked, and they are aware of what blockchain can do and disrupt the whole system that they created. They can disrupt the whole economy in a way. For those companies, of course, actually for most industries that have their data as a way of generating value. So any industry which says, okay, I make money with my data, will be disrupted by blockchain. The question here is how mainstream blockchain will be and how fast it will be. How mainstream
and how cheap, I assume, at the same time, no?
I think that cheap is definitely on the way, and that's already for me. It's clear that it's going to be cheaper, and that's not an issue at all. The issue is more about what is the adoption rate? So when is it going to be mainstream? And also answering that other question, will it be mainstream? And I definitely think that it will be mainstream. So the question is when? Is it going to be in 2 years? Is it going to be in 3 years? And once it happens, then there is nothing that Facebook and Google can do about it. So both, and Apple and other companies which based their financials a lot on data, they can delay the process in a way, but I don't believe that they can stop it. It's already too late.
You think so?
I think so. And even if there was another discussion that we had this week, and it was okay. Even if a crash comes to cryptocurrencies, and the whole trust goes away. On quotations here, you can see it, but
it will be the same thing probably as the crash in 2000.
Yeah, in a way, but it'll be a crush. But the technology itself, it's there, so it's going to be a breakthrough, anyways.
That's interesting. That's a different perspective from what I've been hearing, and it's refreshing, I think. And thank you for that. So let's get back to your.
Okay, so let's get back. So what have you been hearing that? Companies might then stop blockchain, or are they going to do a partnership and then create something like Amazon did, which is totally bullshit? Like,
what did Amazon do?
Amazon just released like a way of creating a blockchain, but it doesn't make any sense. It's like
on AWS,
yeah,
so
like offering AWS on.
So centralized or decentralized?
Yeah, what is that?
What I've been hearing is that the price of maintaining and the speed at what blockchain usually work at, it's not going to be enough for the fast-paced life that we nowadays live.
So it's a question of scalability.
And the scalability entangled with speed and with price, not only for the company itself, but at the same time for the user. If it's too expensive to do something, they might not want to do it. This is point one, things that I've been hearing. And other things that I've been hearing is that bigger companies, if they have the financial incentives, imagine you, and we'll get back more onto your side of the Gus network, but it's assuming that you want to work specifically with LinkedIn, imagine. And I don't know, but we'll get to that. And sure. LinkedIn might say, yeah, that's interesting, but if you're going to take money out of me, why would I be a part of you? Are you trying to cannibalize my business? Which I don't think it's interesting. And then Microsoft will say, hell no, we paid quite a big premium for this. So what I've been reading and hearing is that it's very interesting, and eventually a specific % of the population will be enough to maintain governments and big companies on check, because if anything goes to shit, everyone will have a better alternative. But even so, it's hard to leave existing ecosystems. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. But we've heard that before. We've heard that before when the internet was starting to come to life. The same issues. Oh, it's not scalable. Oh, it's going to be a niche thing. Oh, it's going to be for only a couple of things.
It's the biggest niche in the world. Probably.
Yeah, and that's not my phrase. It's Bill Gates. Bill Gates said that.
About blockchain?
No, about internet. The internet's going to be a niche thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's one of the running gags that we have on blockchain as well, because that's what people said. And every time that a new technology arrives, there are issues. I'm not saying that blockchain as it is right now is perfect and suitable for all applications, and it's amazing. No, there are issues, and those issues are being tackled. So scalability, it is an issue that's being tackled.
Who's tackling it? Because one of the other questions that I have usually on myself when I'm listening to podcasts, going to the gym, is how do you tackle something that's open source and in theory you cannot change it? This is my assumption. I'm not a tech guy. I work in tech, but how do you address a problem in the source code?
Well, you change it.
But can you change something without damaging the things that are behind? Because from what I understand is that blockchain is immutable to the behind things. But every time you want to create something, you have to check from behind.
Yeah, there are two different aspects there. Okay. One thing is, for example, what are we changing? Are we changing the way the protocol works so that it's more scalable? Then that's possible. That's something that Ethereum is already doing. And there are other platforms coming up with new ideas and creating new platforms and creating exactly new ways of doing blockchain, which tackles exactly those problems of scalability and creating stable environments so that it can scale to all applications that we have ahead of us. So the protocol you can change. It is a question of also adoption. If people because since it is decentralized, the people have to agree upon a protocol.
And how do they agree? Is it a pop-up message saying, do you agree? Or is it something?
It's an adoption thing. So people adopt then the new protocol. It's just the way it has been doing, for example, the change between proof of work and proof of stake in Ethereum. Of course, then most of transactions will still be proof of work for a time, but then at a paced time, it is going to change to proof of stake. Until then, all transactions are proof of stake, and then we are talking about a more energy efficient blockchain solution.
Interesting. And going back to your time at Nextbigthing, so what was the name of the company? Meter. What did it do?
We were in the prop tech industry. That's property technologies. So we were building the infrastructure, the IoT infrastructure for buildings. So it was creating protocols available for tenants, so that the adoption of IoT for them and IoT solutions is much simpler. That's the problem that we are tackling. So in a way, it would be, maybe I can explain. I can see by your face that my explanation wasn't that good.
It probably was that good, but let's assume.
Yeah.
That.
So in a simpler way, would be like the app store for IoT in buildings. So we would come, give the infrastructure, and for example, you want a smart key or a smart entrance to your building. Then it would be a matter of just buying a simple hardware, and everything would work seamlessly.
Oh,
that was the idea. And you could expand that to many other applications. For example, we all know that we're growing older. So if you need, for example, assistant living in your house, you're old and you need this care. And that's complicated to set up nowadays. So what we are tackling is, okay, you buy just one simple equipment, and it doesn't have to be ours. It could be third party, but the infrastructure, that means then the protocol, the communication was already there, and people could just install it. It would be, for example, also another example, Philips Hue lamp. Instead of buying then the bridges that you have to buy in order to communicate, because they communicate using Zigbee. The Zigbee protocol is already then in the building, and the only thing that you have to do is install the lamp, and it works seamlessly.
Interesting.
That's what we're doing.
And how would you... so basically you created something to connect every device on a building, and if someone just wanted to get a smart fridge, you just had to install it and it would be a part of the main.
Yeah, if the smart fridge, yeah, exactly. It was about having an easier way of connecting devices in your building, having the infrastructure already there.
So was it like a backend to be able to integrate with different IoT devices?
Yeah, in a way, yes.
Interesting. And so, and you said that was when you first got in touch with blockchain, or you already were in touch with blockchain before?
I was in touch with blockchain because of the company builder. NBT was IoT and blockchain.
Okay.
So we had many exchanges there, and we're talking all about blockchain and how to use it. We're going crazy, and it's kind of funny. But as a techie, when you realize how blockchain can change everything and what's behind the technology, then you go crazy. You really see it, and you have to do something.
I found it very interesting that this is something that everybody who's at some point an entrepreneur or is a builder is categorically very optimistic. And I think that usually when you're talking about, at least in the blockchain area, when it's a techie and some techie does or sees the potential, it just has to drop everything in. That's like, oh my God, this is the thing.
Yeah, and that's what I did.
Okay. So let's imagine that I'm a techie on a Philips, on GE, and or a student leaving a CS school. How do I learn more about blockchain? And please don't tell me read the white paper for Bitcoin.
No, I would say there is a new thing called the internet, and you can Google a couple things there. It's still online. It hasn't been substituted by blockchain yet. But
No, but any specific thing, any book, any blog, anything that you read that you would.
man, I think that that's very interesting because if I give you a path right now, is already outdated. Blockchain is something that you need to constantly check and be on the internet and really looking for it. What I did, for example, that's my path as a techie. The first thing that I did was, okay, I need to build one on my own just to check and see and understand. So I built a simple blockchain based on Python so that I could learn all the principles behind it. And after that, then it's all about learning by doing. I'm a big believer of learning by doing.
Oh, me too.
So yeah, get your hands dirty, learn a programming language, read a little bit. There are great tutorials. I'm not going to recommend one because seriously, it's already outdated, the one that I did.
Okay, and if we go a little step further behind on the blockchain area, because that was the main problem when I first started getting interested in blockchain and the blockchain tech space, was that 99% of the things that I found out on the internet by my own without being recommended was it already a step too far from what I was starting. So it was assuming that I had already had some knowledge. And I think that's the biggest problem with blockchain right away or right now for people who don't know anything about blockchain or are not programmers, is that there's no simple 101 where you can just read it as a normal person and not as a techie or as a mathematician.
Yeah, that's actually a problem to be tackled because that's something that even when we are explaining us and we're explaining to people how the technology behind works, it's tough. It's not that trivial. As if you have myself, I'm an electrical engineer, so I do have a tech background. It's much easier to really understand. So you start a little bit, and then after a couple of weeks, months, then you get all the basic concepts, and you start from there. But you're right, there isn't enough material for people who are non-techies about blockchain and how to understand it. I would recommend also, like, there are a couple of animations on YouTube.
But that's very good.
They do actually help. And that's what we're doing with some investors. Whenever we send our pitch deck, we also recommend a couple of videos.
Can you send those to me? Because I would love to
definitely
to put them on the show notes, because I think that's because I remember I was talking with someone who was here in Berlin before I came to Berlin, and she was at a meetup for blockchain, and she was telling me, I went to the meetup. People were very interested, but I didn't understand a single thing, she was feeling the same thing as me. So it assumes that you're at a point where you understand the simple words, the basic words, and if you don't understand them, there's a lack of information and education for people like me, and you kind of have to force yourself to go through a stepping stone. But at the same time, I was actually having dinner with my girlfriend yesterday, and she was once again trying to understand what's blockchain, and then I told her this very simple thing is that, how does the internet work? Oh, it's simple. You go to www. No, how does it work? Okay, I don't know. So I think that's what I think that people in blockchain area want to do. They don't want to explain it. They just want it to make it happen so that in 3, 5, 10, 15 years, it's a commodity. How does blockchain work? Yeah, it just does. I think that's the goal, yeah?
That's totally the goal. But that's also what's happening. Like for users itself, right now, yeah, of course, then we have token sales and people who invest who have to get a little bit of knowledge. But for the user itself, the difference between an app application and a blockchain application is going to be zero. So
in terms of UI and UX.
Exactly. In terms of how do you experience the whole thing, it should be seamless. Then that's also the objectives of people who are creating the apps and also blockchain applications, solutions, tackling problems. and not only the of course, then for example platforms like Ethereum and EOS, then of course then you have to be a techie to understand it and to program it, but the ones creating solutions, infrastructures or protocols for other solutions like we are, then for the users itself, it needs to be a seamless transition.
I think now from what you just said, what I get is, and this is the first thing that came to mind, is you want the person to be able to log into a website and be able to use it. It doesn't have to understand how automatic built WordPress.
Yeah.
And I thought, actually, that's very interesting.
Exactly, that's the thing. For example, whenever what you were asking right now is, I would like to log into my Gmail account. Can you send me please a video how the internet works?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I do. We are sending videos of how blockchain works because mostly for investors and partners, so that they can understand a little bit. But for the user itself, is a little bit awkward if you think about it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and let's go now to Gust.
Yeah.
So it's a platform I assume it's solely focused on recruiting, no matter where in the spectrum you fall, either blue collar, white collar, or wherever, but it's focused on recruiting.
Yeah, we are focused on recruiting.
Why? How did you come up to recruiting after building an IoT for buildings rather?
Well, my co-founder is an HR expert, and we got together and we're thinking, okay, we need to do something blockchain that's revolutionary. So let's come up with ideas, and it started as a joke. He said to me, "Well, we're coming up with ideas and different and ways of solving problems." And he just started as a joke. Oh, let's put the users on the blockchain for recruitment. And then I thought for 2 seconds, and I said, "Actually, Dennis, that makes totally sense. Let's do it." And here we are then.
Okay, so let's put it. Let's go for the simpler way.
Sure.
You create a platform, and I create an application to recruit nurses.
Actually, let's make a different approach. Let's make an example of you, Andrea.
Okay.
So you get into our infrastructure. There is a simple login. Login can be from our side, from Gust. The login, it can be from a third party that
LinkedIn,
uses
Google,
that use our infrastructure as well.
Okay.
So it should be seamless, and you log in and you have an account and you have a password. And you put your information, and it's a self-sovereign information. So that means that you are in control of your data. You're in full control of your data. If you want to delete your data, you delete your data. Nobody will have your data. We're using IPFS right now. It can be that in the future it changes. There are
IPFS
new technologies.
Being
is an interplanetary file storage system. I know the name is it's kind of funny, but the technology behind is amazing. So it's you generate the data. And then you can you make it available to other people so they can download it directly from you. So the idea is following. Then you generate your data and you're in control of your data.
My data being my professional data, career goals, skills.
Exactly, all this data. And there is then a difference between public data and private data. So public data is the data that you put so people can see you, but you're still anonymous and nobody can reverse engineer to find out who you are. So in a way, it would be, for example, the skills that you have. What can you do? For example, myself, I'm a programmer. I would assume for you, maybe amazing podcaster.
Thank you very much.
Okay, maybe.
Let's assume we'll see. I've done sales, so let's put sales.
Sales. And then you put your goals. So what do you want to achieve? And there are a couple of other settings as well. For example, are you open for new job positions right now or not?
Okay.
Or you do not want to receive any job opportunities? Where do you want to go? What kind of companies do you want to work for? Is this only big companies, or are you open for startups, or is it
Or
only
or
startups
NGOs
or
or-
NGOs, whatever? Then you can already think about the possibilities right now, and that's the private data, the public data, and the private data. Then it has your full CV. So what happens is once you log in and you put this information, you start then receiving, if you want, if you put on the settings, I'm open for job opportunities, then you start automatically receiving job opportunities from other companies. It can be that the company directly contacts you. It can be that you're contacted by a headhunter. It can be that it's an AI matching HR. But in a way, is you start receiving those requests and you can automate that or not, but you can then accept each request per hand or automate it. And per request, you receive tokens for that. You say how much is your private data worth. So you say, okay, I would like 20 tokens for my private data.
But is the public data customizable enough for someone? Imagine that we are both of us have our public data. I can lie on my public data and say that I'm a best programmer in the world. And we're both open to the possibility. And I say, my skills in Python are the best in the world. I created Python. There's no one in the world better than me. You have to pay me 100 tokens. And you are way better than me. And you say, no, my private data is worth 5 tokens. How can you protect against this bullshitter?
Well, on that way is the following. We do have a validation, and that's actually even something that you're working for. Validation on the person itself. So you are still anonymous, but you have a validation that you do exist. You're not a robot. You do exist. And by doing that, we are preventing that. If I lie and I get caught, I will be somehow, for example, from the apps, they will know and they will never pay you again. And you, in a way, for them, you'll be blacklisted. And
but
that's something that you're also avoiding.
But how can you, sorry for interrupting, but how can you, I assume that decentralization is taking the chance of one body of work or one person, be it a company or one member, saying you no longer can be a part of this. But if you're putting this, are you putting like a line in the code saying that if this happens, no matter if it's decentralized or centralized, if this person lies, this person can no longer be a part of the network?
No, it's not on the code, and that's not the problem that we're tackling.
Okay.
That's also another thing that we need to separate. For example, how many bullshitters are on LinkedIn?
Hundreds, thousands, millions.
Okay, is that the problem that they're tackling?
They don't care.
Yeah, most people.
But people are not paid on LinkedIn.
How many people lie on their CVs?
Hundreds of millions, billions.
Okay. That's not the problem that we're tackling. We're tackling the problem that job seeking and talent acquisition sucks. We're tackling the problem that for each job application, you take at least 3 hours. Have you ever? When was the last time that you actually looked for a job?
Before coming
to this. How many hours did you spend looking for a job? Weeks. We're talking about weeks. That's the problem that we're tackling. Everybody goes, whenever we talk about HR, people think directly, but validation. No, validation is not the problem. The problem is people are spending weeks to find a job.
If not months.
And companies are spending months and a lot of money to find mediocre talent. Why? Because only 5% of people, of job seekers, are actually actively looking. 95% are not. That's the problem we're tackling. 95% of people are just waiting for something to come out of the heaven and then maybe change their positions to a better one. That's the problem we're tackling. We're tackling that people who look for jobs, it's a hassle. Companies who look for talent is a hassle, and people are losing opportunities. That's the problem.
Okay, and so let me get this straight. So if I'm understanding this, and sorry if I'm still butchering the idea. So
yeah, I'll think about it.
So let's assume this. You're reverse engineering kind of Indeed. So I am, as a job seeker, I get connected by the job creators.
Yeah, well, we're not reverse engineering or changing. It's just that, okay, now it's another cliche. It's what Ford said. If people, if they asked before, what do you want? They would say, please give me just better horses and not a car. Job boards sucks. It doesn't make any sense. That's the point. So we're not reverse engineering anything. We're just changing the way it.
You're creating a car and not a.
We're creating a car
stable,
and
not a stable.
And not putting shoes on horses.
That's an interesting analogy. One last question before we go into the to more of a fire round.
I don't like fire rounds. Just let you
it's
know,
going to be
Andre.
good. It's going to be good.
I'm not sure.
So, in terms of HR partners, just to see if there's anything that anyone in the audience might be able. So, is it like an HR agency like ZipRecruiter, even LinkedIn? Are these reachable partners? Are these partners that
We are. That's a very interesting question, because for HR partners, our target are the users. We're not targeting companies. We're not targeting where HR partners make money. So recruitment agencies, we're just facilitating them to a larger pool of candidates, something that they already do with LinkedIn right now. But the only difference is that on LinkedIn, they have mediocre filters. They cannot find the people, and they're pinging manually everybody. Oh, do you want a job? Do you want a job? How many job messages do you receive? And even if you have another position, people are just pinging you to offer something else, and sometimes you just don't want. So that's the hassle that we are tackling and solving. So to answer your question more directly, any partner who is involved in recruitment is a partner of us. We're not getting to the companies directly. So anyone can join our infrastructure. Companies can join our infrastructure, but
you're not going to be reaching out.
We are not going to be reaching out for them. They can create a D-app for them. For example, BMW or Volkswagen. They are so big that they can create a D-app for them. But any HR partners, any headhunters, they can use our infrastructure. We do not believe that every single hospital in this world will have their own application to find nurses, but that's going to be a D app.
Two questions out of that. Is it going to be, okay, imagine that we're on Gus Network and we have Nurses for All, or Nurses for Us. Let's assume that's a D app that someone created. Is it supposed
Nurses on blockchain?
Nurses on blockchain. Nurses on blocks.
Wait, nurses on blocks.
Is it supposed to be, just so that I can wrap my mind around this in taking the nurse perspective, is it each hospital, in theory, is it to create its own D app, or is it to create like nurses on blocks, and every nurse, like a group, is on that block, so that hospitals can then filter out? So people in Berlin, these are the available nurses in Berlin. Let's look out for them. Is that an idea?
Well, all the nurses would be at our infrastructure, at Gus Network.
Yes.
The D app, what it would be a way of hospitals connecting them to the nurses.
So let me see. So if I got it. So each D app, it's not a focus for the talent to be there. It's just a way to pick out people from the pool of talent.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm smarter now.
Or I explain extremely poor. maybe I'll have to listen to this podcast later. And
but was it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the way of thinking it.
I really like that idea, because then.
Thank you. It's a nice idea, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, when people realize the potential and how it works, it makes totally sense.
Oh, okay. What have you thought of maybe reaching out to universities?
Yeah, that's also going to be. We're already having talks with HR partners who are focused on graduates, new graduates.
Because that's a constant stream of incoming talent.
Yeah, of course, that's also a possibility. But that's going to be a D app. We provide all the infrastructure and all the functions for people to have.
When you say DApp, is DApp... Okay, one question. Do you have also DApps to onboard new people? Do you have to create a DApp to onboard new talent?
It can be our DApp, but also third-party DApps to onboard people. Verification DApps to verify them on the infrastructure, on Gust. So the whole ecosystem, it's open.
So you can create DApps to verify any kind of thing that you get from Udemy. You can, okay, this person did in fact get verified on a PHP course on Udemy and he passed with flying colors. It here is on Gust. It's verified. Can that be a DApp? Or
we are not. That could be a DApp, but then the information of the verification wouldn't be on our infrastructure. We're not verifying. For example, quality or skills, because that generates the Amazon customer reviews problem, and that's something that we're avoiding. That's not the problem we're tackling here. As I said, we're tackling the problem that it's a hustle for everybody to find jobs.
I really enjoy that idea. Okay, before we go into the fire round,
okay, that's a very
radio voice.
Very what is the name of it?
Radio broadcast voice.
Yeah, it's
radio 1, 2, 3. We have one question from the audience.
Which audience? The 15,000 people who are around us right now?
Who are already listening to us. We have a question from the audience. That's from Nathan, the person that introduced us.
Okay.
And his question is, what's the most effective way to recruit talented team members and high-profile advisors?
That's a very, very interesting question. I would definitely say using Gust. But since we're not online yet, right now we are doing the manual way, man. We are pinging people on LinkedIn,
but how do you filter through them?
It sucks. It's a terrible filter, and you have to spend hours on it. It's very, very tedious job.
So in some way, let me see if I get it.
You have to be very good on pitching.
But at the same time, you're creating Gust for yourself as well, because this can be good for you guys as well.
It's good for everybody.
Yeah.
Let me doing that in a sexy voice. It's good for everybody.
Sorry. Okay. So it sucks. Let's put it this way.
It sucks. And that's, yeah.
But what's the most...
But we're not creating Gust for ourselves.
But what's the most effective way so far?
For the road.
Of course.
Most effective way is for talent, creating a brand, having amazing product, people loving the idea, people really understanding it and seeing, okay, you are generating value. You're not creating an e-commerce website. Nothing against people creating e-commerce right now, but our product is amazing.
That's so
we get people on board, and also the most effective way is a clear pitch, a nice LinkedIn introduction, and don't be scared to approach people. Don't be scared of talking to people. Don't be scared of just reaching out and asking.
And for high-profile advisors, is it the same thing?
Same thing. Just go for it.
Do you usually look for introductions, or you just ad hoc?
I think that both works. Introductions works, but if you don't have an introduction, don't wait for it.
Okay.
If you do want something, just go for it.
I like it. If you want something, go for it. Okay.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
Let's go for the fire round.
Oh my God.
So this is how it works. I'll ask you a question or say a sentence, and then you'll have 60 seconds to answer it.
60 seconds?
60 seconds.
Okay.
What's the book or the 1 to 3 books that have influenced you the most?
I would definitely say The Little Prince.
Okay. My girlfriend has a tattoo.
No, you're kidding.
I'm not kidding. She has a
Okay,
tattoo.
I was going to do
the thing of the elephant and the hat.
Okay.
The hat elephant. My girlfriend has it tattooed here on her. I'm not kidding.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really enjoy also Italian author. Okay, the Little Prince was actually a joke, but okay,
no worries.
that was amazing how it spin it up. Anyways, and I really enjoy a very nice author, Italian author, which is called Italo Calvino, and he has made a couple of books. And the most amazing one for me are The Invisible Cities and The Difficult Loves. I don't know if it is the correct translation because I only know in Portuguese. So it's Cidades Invisíveis
I'll look for it in
Amores
Amazon.
Difíceis.
Why did they influence you the most? Any specific?
I think that they didn't influence me the most because I'm a very practical guy. So I do not want to talk about technical books and all those other books, self-help books or any
self-development.
Yeah, that's not what I would like to talk about here. But it's about reading something that trigger emotions. And I think that those books, they trigger emotions. It's very interesting.
Okay. What's your favorite tool / the tool you wouldn't be able to live without?
The tool I wouldn't... okay. Apart from computer and
it can
phones,
be an app.
It can be an app as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I would definitely say... my screwing machine, because
Your what?
My screwing machine, my boa machine. Yeah, I don't know the name of it in English. Máquina de furar.
Like a drill?
Like a drill, exactly. I think that's the most amazing thing, because it's something that whenever you put in your hands, you instantly have ideas. I'm just kidding, Andre.
I believe in you. No, but what was, is it computer and phone then?
Definitely.
Any other?
I couldn't live with my computer, but I can substitute any app. I do not. I'm not like an app guy who says, "Okay, I cannot live without this." I'm a very flexible guy. So right now I do have a Mac, but I switched to Linux. I wouldn't go back to Windows though. Maybe. But they are since a couple of years they are members of the Linux Foundation, and it's changing a lot. I must say they are changing
Linux
a lot.
is very interesting.
Linux Foundation, Windows is a member of Linux Foundation. That's why they're changing it. It's amazing what they're doing.
Yeah,
they're really thinking of the
Microsoft has been changing a lot.
A lot in the years. Microsoft is, in a way, it's. I have a feeling that they're the new Apple. I don't know. I know everybody's saying that, but I must say that in the last years, I really do have the feeling that Microsoft was better than Apple.
I think Apple. I love Mac. I love Mac. I'm an Apple fan, even though I have an Android phone now. It was because I got tired of the iPhone things that I've been screwing up.
Things are changing.
But I don't. Every time I look into a Windows computer, I'm lost. I don't understand it. It crashes. I don't like it.
Yeah, maybe because you still have Windows 98 installed.
No. The 10. It's weird.
Okay.
Okay. Tell me something you've changed your mind about in the last 6 months.
Blockchain.
Can you go a little bit deeper into it?
Yeah, definitely. It's not in the last 6 months, it's in the last 1 year. I always saw the possibility on the financial part, and I always said, okay, that's going to be a niche thing.
Mr. Gates, and welcome to the show. It's a great pleasure to have you.
Thank you. And but I really changed my mind. It's spectacular. What's going to happen?
If you started today from scratch, you just finished your college degree, you have all your knowledge, but if you started today from scratch, where would you focus? What would you do first?
If I had all my knowledge right now?
Yes, but you didn't have enough
resources?
Experiences. You had almost no resource. So
you're talking about the same position that I was when I started Gust.
Let's assume so. So you would start Gust.
So I would start Gust.
Okay, then let's put it this way. If you weren't doing Gust, what do you think you would be doing?
Honestly, I love technical part. So I love the technical part, but I'm also a little bit of business guy, and I love sales. So I love bringing technical things to people and involving them and showing them what are the possibilities. I think that with the knowledge that I have right now, I would definitely just build something on, again, any kind of venture. I would start right away another venture after college. With the knowledge that I have right now, I wouldn't have, I would have all the toolkit necessary and the mindset, because I think that's what miss.
So what would be the first step? The first step would be go onto a computer and start building something?
Well, it's not about only like on the computer itself, but
you get the drill.
The first step is definitely get a drill, build something on your own, because that's very important. I believe that if you do a table on your own, if you build a chair on your own, if you paint something on your own, you learn something, and that's very valuable. And once you're done with that, then you can really, okay, I did that. I'm able to do a lot of things. And with that mindset, then just go for it. Think of something, think of a problem that you want to tackle, and just start. And get someone great on board, because doing things alone sucks.
So get a partner.
Very, very happy with my co-founder, Dennis. He's just like the best co-founder in the world.
So Dennis, you've got here the best partner in the world, because he's telling you that, talking everybody about you. Okay.
Yeah, he knows about it.
If someone wants to find you and talk with you, where can they find you?
They can find me still on LinkedIn. I'm just kidding. I don't think that LinkedIn is going to cease to exist. I think that LinkedIn, we're not building a social network. People can reach me on LinkedIn. They can also reach me on email. Felipe.
Felipe
dot Stark,
like Tony Stark,
like all the
Iron
Starks, like Iron Man, but also Game of Thrones Starks. So yeah, it's a lot of reference right now. At gust.network.
Fantastic. Okay, as a parting piece of guidance, what's the best advice you've ever gotten?
Best advice
you've ever received?
Man, I've received so many advices that were good.
Okay, let's put it this way.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Say an advice or leave an advice for our audience.
I think it's okay. I'm going to give you one advice, and that's a very good one. Start meditating. Since I'm a Vipassana meditator, so I went to a 10-course day, no communication, 12 hours a day. Meditation was the hardest thing I have ever done in my life. And seriously, Vipassana. It's crazy.
It's a sort of meditation?
Yeah, it's a kind of meditation. So it's a technique, and you learn by doing it, and it's amazing because it's very. I think it's focused for people who are scientists in a way, because the way the process works is you do something and then afterwards you receive the validation, and you see and they say to you, hey, this is what you felt, right? It's not the other way around, like, oh, do this in order to feel this. No, it's do this and then you do it for 12 hours and then they say, oh, this is what you felt. And it's exactly that. And after the 10 days, it's crazy. It's your life and your perspective really changes.
How often do you meditate?
I meditate every day.
How long each session?
Right now, I'm only meditating 30 minutes. I definitely recommend 1 hour a day.
Can it be 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon?
Yes. Vipassana itself, it says 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon. I think that's almost impossible to reach, but half an hour every day, it's very, very good. And the amount of concentration that you get, I cannot say that I was a defocused person. I was always very focused and very disciplined, but the meditation, it gave me another level.
Interesting. I'll have to Vipassana. V-I-P-A-S-S-A.
Yes, Vipassana.
I'll have to take a look.
N-A.
I've heard a lot about
I'm terrible on spelling, like the worst ever.
I've had people talk with me about transcendental meditation. That's the one that Ray Dalio uses every day since the 70s.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. But
Some animosity between meditators.
well, let's not start a warfare here between Android and Apple.
Okay. Thank you very much for staying here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Andre.
For your advice and for everybody, every piece of your content. Once again, if everybody wants to get in touch with you as his email, everything will be linked up in the show notes, gust.network. And man, it was a great pleasure, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Andre.
Thank you so much for plugging into this conversation. I truly feel, even though I am working in the blockchain space, that Felipe gave me a true masterclass on blockchain technologies, like other people in this podcast before. I truly hope that you learned as much or maybe more than I did. Any information that you might have missed will probably be linked up in the show notes. If you enjoyed this conversation, consider subscribing to make sure that this podcast grows and we can get to more people and help everybody be the pioneers of their own lives and careers. Please, if you truly enjoyed this conversation, let me know and leave a rating and review on iTunes or any other podcasting app that you might be listening to this. This show is also available on Spotify. Once again, it was really a great pleasure having you over there, and have a great